Well, we are with Camron Dudley of the Cat 5 Band. And Cameron, welcome to Flip Flop Live Radio.
How you doing, Andy? Thanks for having me, man.
I'm doing well. Hope you are. Now, look, I know a lot of folks a little disappointed we weren't able to get together tonight, but it is the virtual Lake Light Live concert series, and we're still going to have a good time tonight playing your hits and all that stuff. Tell us a little bit about Cat 5. Tell us the origin, how you got started, how long you've been together. Tell us all the good stuff.
Wow. Well, you know, we started up last year. Started rehearsing around in April. GT, Glenn Tippett, and myself and Hugh came over from Coastline Band, and then surprisingly, Jerry West came on board with us from the Band of Oz, and Tim Sidden had already split with Hip Pocket, so he came on with us, and we started rehearsing. Jerry finished up a couple of months with Band of Oz, I think through May, and then we actually played our first gig on June the 5th, and we have been rolling ever since, just doing beach and introducing a little bit of yacht rock in with some of the beach music, and just having a good time, man.
So you guys have been together just about a year now, I guess.
Just about a year, a little over a year actually, if you count the rehearsal time before we actually started playing. We rehearsed for a couple months solid there to get everything together, and so we're working on our year anniversary for sure.
Yeah, you were talking about some of the music that you play. We've got two songs that I've got that are studio recordings: the Slow Steady Groove, and then also the cover of the Robert John song, If You Don't Want My Love. Give us a little story behind Slow Steady Groove. That was your first single. I think it was released right at the beginning of summer last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. It was. I had spoken with Peter Carpenter, and we got in on the CBMA stuff, and he said, you guys should try to get a tune out that would be eligible for some awards. And Jerry West has a plethora of of tunes that he has written over the years, and he brought that song in. He had been wanting to record it, and he brought it into us. We worked on it in rehearsal and got it all down, and went and got it recorded. We worked on that at Spook Joiner's studio there in Spring Hope, and got it out before the deadline, and man, it did really well for us. I know it's still popping around on a few charts, and that's been a great tune for us. Jerry wrote that years ago and had it stashed away.
Now, you were talking about some yacht rock things that you guys have kind of sprinkled in the playlist there. I'll be honest, that's I think one of my favorite genres now is the yacht rock. For folks that aren't familiar with yacht rock, just kind of go into detail about what yacht rock means.
Sure, yeah, yacht rock was kind of now it's considered, easy listening classic rock. It's basically, what it boils down to. And back in the day, it was very popular tunes, and as the time's gone on, people's kind of forgotten about, some of these songs, but it includes such a wide variety of artists, anything from Hall and Oates to, Linda Ronstadt on the female side. You're talking about Eagles tunes. There's just so much wrapped up into yacht rock, and they're actually now, believe it or not, we've booked a few weddings that want yacht rock receptions. They want yacht rock music at the reception. There's clubs opening up. One in particular in Roanoke, Virginia, that is specifically a yacht rock club. We all kind of grew up, everybody in the band kind of grew up with that music. And when we were talking about tunes that we wanted to put into the show, some of those things came up, and, they kind of fit the Shag tempo, and man, a lot of people are just digging it. They love it.
Well, I love it, and I tell you, one of the songs that I love, the first time that I got to hear you was at a private it was a private wedding. Oh, well, actually, it was supposed to be a wedding. It was supposed to be an engagement that turned into a wedding that no one knew about,
oh, yeah.
including me. That was here in Emporia. But Journey's "I'll Be All Right Without You" is an excellent song. It's one that I play on my radio show on WEVA, and it's one of those songs that you do not hear on the radio unless you're listening to something that is maybe a deep track. But "I'll Be All Right Without You" was, it was a big hit, but it's one of those forgotten songs, and you guys bring it alive and make it sound really good on your sets.
Well, thank you, man. And I remember that wedding. I thought that was the coolest thing.
It was.
That when that lady hired us, and she said, "Well, Cameron, I got to tell you a little secret about this reception or this engagement party. It's actually going to be a wedding." I was like, "Man, that is the coolest thing ever."
Yeah.
And everyone was surprised. I could tell. There
Right.
was a handful of people that knew, but everybody was so surprised. But yeah, that song, we discussed that song because it's not, the true Journey fans know it, of course, but that was a weird time for Journey. The drummer, Steve Smith, and the bass player had left, those two original guys there, and they brought in a couple of studio cats, actually, one being one of the judges on one of the popular shows there. Randy Jackson was the bass player on that album and tour. But that was just one of those songs that Jerry has always loved it and has never played it in a band. And man, we get a lot of compliments on that tune. That tune,
it's awesome. Now, is Journey is that a big inspiration for all you guys, or what are the I guess who are some of the artists and some of the bands that inspired you yourself to make music or kind of make your own little style with Cat 5?
Cat 5. Well, we discussed that a lot. On the beach end of things, we didn't want to. Of course, there's those standards, that people want you to play, and we try to do as many of those as possible. But we wanted to do some different beach tunes, different from most of the bands, so we wasn't stepping on toes. And so that came from. I'll be honest with you, I'm not as versed in the beach as the rest of these guys. I grew up more on the the country, classic rock, jazz type stuff, but we kind of wanted to do something that showed off all of the talents, not just the beach side of things, things like you said, things we grew up that inspired us to continue to play and to continue to want to come out and do it full time. And, it's such a wide range. We do some older Grand Funk Railroad, and we do some old Daryl Hall, John Oates, and just a variety of things. But Journey, a lot of people, I don't know many people that hear a Journey tune that don't recognize it right off the bat. It's like, oh yeah, and they sing every word of it. But yeah, that was one of those bands, I think, with us all growing up, and all of us have kind of a history in the classic rock type, venues and music, and so I think that was one of the bands that, probably inspired all of us at some point. Tim Sidden might be the only one that we would leave out of that because he's done so much country. Most of his is country based, so he might not appreciate me saying that.
So for Camron Dudley, it would be, I guess, as you mentioned, some classic country, a little bit of a classic rock. Is that kind of that's what you said you grew up listening to?
Yeah. I learned. I listened to everything. My mother was just a music lover all around. And I'm going to tell my age a little bit, but I listened to I learned to play by all of my mother's albums and 8-tracks and cassettes. For those of these kiddos that don't know 8-tracks, they were these huge things that looked like a cheese sandwich that you stuck in and it played music. So anyway, I grew up, but my mother had everything from, what they called California beach music, which was, the Beach Boys, Jan and Dean, and I listened to that stuff. And then she was a huge country music fan, and Kenny Rogers and all those older artists, and of course the classic rock. She loved that, Doobie Brothers, Eagles, all that great stuff, and then all my friends were older than me growing up in the subdivision I grew up in, and so I got into some of the harder rock too. I was a Sabbath fan and a Zeppelin fan, and
I can't see that. I don't see that. Did you bang the drums? Were you metal? I mean, were you like? Were you?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was. Really? I was big into the rock and roll stuff, especially. My later years in college at Elon, I was in a band that with a couple guys from my hometown that also went to Elon that were music majors, and we actually had a little group that opened up for Sugar Creek a couple of times, with Jerry and Tim Clark and Robbie Hegler and Rick Lee and all those guys. We've known them for years, through the rock music.
Right. Well, and that's that. Did you have the? I'm gonna speak my little drummer lingo here. Did you have the double bass pedals and all that stuff for the metal rock, or did you?
Oh yeah, man! I'll do you one better. Back in the day, the double pedal really wasn't, it was out, but it wasn't a big popular thing back in the '70s. So everybody had double bass drums. They had two big bass drums.
Okay.
Yeah, and it would take you 5 hours to set up everything.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I started playing gigs, when I was around 8.5, 9 years old. I was in a couple of local bands and played all around in Virginia, West Virginia, and the upper part of Carolina, Sparta and Mount Airy, up in those areas. And man, I started so early. I was like, I had to, the bars that had restaurants, or they served food, they would let me stay in the kitchen area on the breaks. If they did not serve food, I had to go sit in the band van on the breaks. I couldn't even be in the building.
Oh, what a bummer, man!
But I was running around at that age, man, with all that equipment. It was like, here was this little guy with these 2 kick drums and all this stuff, but I wasn't. I'm sure I was still learning, but I wasn't bad.
That's pretty awesome. So your second single, and correct me if I'm wrong, it is the Robert John "If You Don't Want My Love," the cover of that song. Well, tell me a little bit behind that. I understand. Excuse me. I understand that it was on the Steve Hardy CD. So how did "If You Don't Want My Love" come about?
Well, we got approached, to do a song on the tribute album to Steve. I think it was it Party of a Lifetime? I think is am I saying that right?
That's it. Yeah, Party of a Lifetime.
Yeah, it's a great CD, man. There's some great tunes on that. They did a great job with that. But yeah, we were really honored to be asked by Britt to do a song on that, and I can't honestly tell you if Steve picked out those songs, or I know that it came from them, but they asked Jerry to do that song. It was apparently one of his favorite tunes, and he wanted Jerry to sing it, and Jerry absolutely killed it. I might say.
Yes.
The band did great. The music is true to the original, but Jerry's vocal performance on that is tremendous, and we've been playing it live. We were playing it live before the mess cranked up, but people just love it. I was not familiar with the song until it was proposed to us to do it, and then once I got to listening to it and I heard we started going in and recording, I heard Jerry singing, and I was like, man, this is gonna be nice.
Yeah.
And again, we did that down with Spook Joyner down at his studio in Spring Hope, and they just did an excellent job on it. Jerry did all of the vocals and background vocals on that song.
Well, with this quarantine, what have you guys been able to? What have you guys been up to? I know it's tough on everybody.
Oh,
it's
man.
tough on DJs, tough on everybody. But you guys, that's your bread and butter. That's your way of life. So what have you guys been doing?
Well, I tell you, I do believe that everybody's still, playing and practicing at home and staying up on the music, and I do know that much. But I know for myself, our last job was March the 14th, and I was fortunate enough to have a friend in Danville, Virginia, a friend of mine I've known for years, Charles Coe, who owns Coe Landscaping, and I was called him up and I had to go to work because everything was getting canceled or postponed just as fast as you could hang up a call. You were getting another one, and so that's what I've been doing for since the third week in March, and I enjoy it. I grew up on a farm working, and I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten a great tan out of it. That's one good thing.
Is that a farmer's tan?
Yeah, farmer's tan, man. You don't want to see anything past the elbow, pretty much.
Right.
But Jerry was able to go. He's working for Mark Lane in the Selma area doing lawn care work, and I think Tim Sidden has been doing some work at the studio that him and Gary Lauder are running together. And GT Glenn has he's been homeschooling his little daughter, and I think that's been a full-time job. And Hugh is still, Hugh has been home and not coming out because of the situation, and he's doing really well. And so everybody's trying to hang in there to see, how long we're going to be on this shutdown, and hopefully every state seems to be kind of doing their own thing now. So we're just waiting, man, to get back out and play and see everybody, and we hope it's sooner than what I'm hearing it's going to be, but we shall see. It's a tough time, man. It's been tough on this industry. I've talked with David Hicks and a few other guys from bands and some club owners, and man, everybody's hanging in there but struggling.
That's right. And one of the things that we've been telling folks is, if you want to support your bands and you just can't get out there because there are no performances, why don't you buy some merchandise? Why don't you head to the Cat 5 website? What is that website, by the way, Mr. Dudley?
The website is cat5band.com, and then the Facebook page is Cat 5 Live, Live, at Facebook, and that's also the same thing at Instagram. And we have all the links up there for the merch, and if there's something on there that you've seen at a show and it's not on the merch page and you want it, chances are we have it in the box on the truck, and all you got to do is drop us a line and we'll get it shipped out to you. It's not a problem. And I think, I hope folks are doing that for every band that's in this industry. I know they would all certainly appreciate it. And we have a promotion up now. We're trying to get a little bit of sponsorship. Our plans are in a few weeks is to do a 90-minute show online live so we can interact with the crowd. We've got a streaming company that's going to help us out with that. So we're trying to put that together right now.
Well, that's awesome, and you let us know, and we'll definitely share the word on Flip Flop Live. One more thing before we let you go, Cameron.
Sure, man.
You got any more tunes in the pipeline here, or you got anything that's going to be released pretty soon, or?
Yes, we do. Matter of fact, we are working on a new tune called "Beach in the Boulevard," and we are. Right now, we're laying down some preliminary tracks. We're kind of all passing them around to each other, and I spoke with Tim Sidden yesterday. I know Hugh's got his bass line down, and Tim's working on some keyboards, and he sent it to me today actually to cut some drum tracks on it. We're trying to put it all together and then get it down to Mr. Joyner and then let him do his magic on it. I don't know if that's something we can release or have out, before all of the the madness is over, but if not, it'll be right when it's over. So we'll have that coming out shortly.
Well, that we're looking forward to that too. Camron Dudley, Cat 5 Band, thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you around the beach or around pretty soon. Once, like you said, once this mess is lifted up, we're going to be ready, raring to go. But we appreciate you joining us for this special virtual Lake Life Live concert series from Clarksville.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Andy. We appreciate it, and miss seeing you, man. And we appreciate all the listeners, and thank you guys. You guys have some great video up of us, by the way.
Well,
we really appreciate that.
The best music with Bob Live Radio.